Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. Today, I'm here to share with you guys my teammate Russell Stelzer's SS4 Vegeta ramp deck. This guy has just been pumping out the blue decks lately. He gave us an SS3 list from a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, Russell's not here with us to profile the deck together today. He had some work engagements, and we just couldn't kind of get together. But I am here. I know what the deck's all about, so I'm going to share it with you guys. This is a build that comes from him, though, so shout out to Russell for providing us some awesome content to cover. That being said, guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a Dragon Ball Super video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways to do so down in the description. But today, guys, if you want to buy any of the cards for this deck, or any TCG cards for that matter, use my link in the description to TCG Player. It does help the channel out greatly. That being said, we'll get into it. Alright, so again, this is SS4 Vegeta ramp. So why are we playing this leader? On Awakened side, when it attacks, draw a card. Auto once per turn. When you deal a damage to your opponent by attacking with this card, look at the top card of your deck. If it's mono blue, place it in your energy and rest mode. Otherwise, place it on top of your deck. So basically, you get to ramp your energy. And this leader has been around since set 11. So why is it cool all of a sudden now? Well, the format has slowed down considerably. So that means that this leader is not really getting aggroed quite as fast. And a lot of the new generic blue tools we have are actually just really, really good for this deck. We'll see all that in the profile. When you're four or less, draw one card. So it seems like Bandai really anticipated for this leader to be really strong because they gave it a really weak Awaken. Hasn't really proved yet. And I think this leader is like topped here and there, like sporadically. But I know that Russell is really, really hyped on this deck. So that weaker Awaken, I guess, is kind of like a counterbalance for the fact that you're supposed to be able to ramp. On the Awaken side, auto once per turn when this card attacks, draw one. Auto once per turn when your opponent activates a counter skill, switch this card to active mode, so you do get another attack. Unfortunately, the auto to draw is once per turn, so that's a bummer. But auto once per turn, when you deal damage to your opponent by attacking with this card, look at the top card of your deck. If it's mono blue, place it in your energy and rest mode. Otherwise, place it on top of your deck. So another ramping ability there. We do play some cards that are meant to help us force the ramp through, and we'll look at those now. So the number one card you're going to use to force that ramp through is your 4 copies of Ultra Instinct Goku's Kamehameha. This card definitely been a blue staple for a while. Not always like a 4 of, like a 2 of here, a 3 of there. Some blue decks can't even really play it all that well. But in this deck, it's really good because when you use it during your turn, you draw a card and get a 15k combo. So attacking with your Unawakened leader for 25k that replaces itself. This is one of the few instances where this type of like pseudo combo effect is pretty much better than a cantrip because you're trying to force that damage through. And a 25k swing on turn 1, that's going to be pretty hard for your opponent to deal with unless they have some sort of like blocker or something like that. So that's one of the main ways you're going to force that damage through. You can also just play Zeno Edge of Space because a lot of people, just kind of gloss over the fact that when you play the card, you actually draw a card. So you can use it as like, copies 5 through 8 of like turn 1 Ultra Instinct Kamehameha. But obviously, it's your super combo. You want to try to avoid doing that. But if you really need to get your ramp accelerated and you don't have UI Goku's Kamehameha in your hand, you can use Zeno Edge of Space to do that. But again, obviously, Zeno super combo, great defensive capabilities, letting you grab cards from your energy. Number one card being Galactic Buster. You can just keep recycling it. It's really funny how they banned Plan for Destruction for that same interaction, but now you can just do that with Galactic Buster, so that's a little weird. But anyways, Force Sensibine, of course, just super good for accelerating your plays as well as playing defense. Although, again, aggro is not too crazy in this format, but I think there will be the occasional aggro deck like a Vegeta Bardock Screw, like a Red Broly, for example, like a Vegex. So Bean can be really good against those types of matchups. Now for the Galactic Buster engine, we have 3 copies of Galactic Buster, which again can be comboed with Zeno Edge of Space to recycle it. We're playing 3 copies of Bojack the Evildoer. Now this is just your mid-game sort of like combo into play. And yes, it is a 2-card combo, but blue draws so much nowadays, especially when you're using the Galactic Buster engine, which replaces itself, basically turns Bojack the Evildoer into a pseudo combo, which is insanely strong. And 2 copies of Bojack on a Rampage. You can charge this at any point throughout the game, and then turn 4 and beyond, you just have this like super intimidating boss monster. You combo it into play for 4 energy, you draw a card, you spin a battle card to the bottom of the deck, and then your opponent basically gets punished for attacking with their battle cards. This card is just insanely good. What's really cool about this is like these are cards that you specifically want to charge. Like, sure, you can combo like Bojack the Evildoer from your hand, but it's almost like you're playing a multicolor deck where multicolor decks have check lands. These are lands you like really want to put in your energy, and then they have uses later on, which is actually a really cool concept. I've been loving the Galactic Buster engine in a lot of blue decks. Soul Striker, SS3, this Vegeta ramp deck, it's all really, really cool. For our Unison, we're just playing 4 copies of Majin Buu, Assault, the Into Destruction. Not really anything else there. No like Zeno Unison, no Baby Unison, nothing like that. We're just playing 4 of this. We want to get it down as early as we can. And since our leader does ideally ramp on one of the early turns, you can drop this as early as turn 3. We're playing 3 God Sealing to back it up. When you play a turn 4 Unison, 3 God Sealing is pretty much fine. We're playing 4 D Magic and 3 Chilled Army Reinforcement just to make sure we can, defend well enough. And if we're at 5 life, if our opponent's trying to stall us, Chilled Army Reinforcement is pretty good in that scenario at allowing us to get Self-Awakened. And then for the rest of our defensive package, so I think this is where you can get pretty flexible with the deck, because obviously you're playing the 1 Baby Hatch. Of course, you're going to play the 1 Baby Hatch. But Russell, in his list, is playing 3 Vegeta Ready to Rumble and 4 Gohan Baby's Minions. So, what I was talking about earlier, where your leader ramps and like you get to do things a turn early, Gohan Baby's Minion can be live as early as turn 2 if you were able to successfully ramp on turn 1. So that can be pretty good. Same thing with Vegeta Ready to Rumble, basically it can be online a turn earlier. So in a way, that's pretty similar to Baby and SS3 Reboot, more so SS3 Reboot, where like you're getting that ramp, and then these Floodgate cards, you can kind of consider them to be cheaper, although they're not really cheaper, but you're just able to use them a turn earlier, which is pretty nice. One of the cool things, like a minor niche interaction, but it's actually pretty relevant with Vegeta Ready to Rumble, is that there are so many of these counterplay cards, like Super Kamehameha, Tyrannical Blow, things like this that negate the play or negate the effects of a 3 cost or less. In a deck like this, or a deck like SS3 Reboot, where you're actually paying for Ready to Rumble, they actually can't interrupt this card with those types of counterplays. So that's a pretty relevant thing. But besides that, I mean, you have your Ready to Rumble to block. You have Gohan Baby's Minion for a 25k attacker. It's a little strange, though, because obviously we're not really running Overlord in the deck. So with that in mind, you actually just might not want to attack with Gohan Baby's Minion going into your opponent's next turn. You might actually want to like save it for your game turn, which we'll see that in just a second. But yeah, minor thing you might want to keep in mind. And then for our win conditions, we are playing 2 Android 17 Turning the Tide. So this deck can get there as early as like turn 6, turn 5, if you're able to get the leader ramp down more than once. 2 Baby Golden Avenger, which actually offers you some insane counterplay to Android 17 Turning the Tide, which seems like it's going to be a very, very popular card in this upcoming meta because blue decks just seem to be really strong. Again, Soul Striker, S3 Reboot, Baby, and even quite possibly this deck. So the counterplay obviously won't affect Turning the Tide, but you're still going to use the counterplay in response to turning the Tide. And it's actually better for you, honestly, that it doesn't stop the play of Tide, but you get the auto draw a card, which is going to happen after Tide resets your opponent's hand. Then you get to send one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place at the bottom of the deck. So you basically just answer the Tide, and then you should ideally have your Buu Unison to defend against any other threats they might have on the board. We're also playing 3 copies of SS4 Vegeta Rise of the Super Warrior. So this card has 6 specified blue costs, and as you noticed, we are playing full-on 50 mono blue cards. Blocker, auto, if your other card's mono blue, when this card is played, look at top 4 cards from top of your deck, add up to 4 mono blue cards among them to your hand, then place any number of the remaining mono blue cards in your energy, and place any other remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So you're always going to hit 4 with this, and you basically get to pick and choose, like, if you want to draw 4, if you want to ramp 4, if you want to do some combination of both. So basically, what this allows you to do is set up Tragedy Overground, which is actually such a funny tech card in this deck. So we'll give it a quick read, because you probably haven't seen this card in a long time. 9-drop field card, permanent. This card can't be removed from your battle area by the skills of your opponent's battle cards. Permanent. When your opponent plays a battle card with energy cost of 4 or more, it's placed in its owner's energy in rest mode instead. So you literally just like can't play 4 costs and higher. The play just gets negated and it gets played in your energy like outright. Auto, when this card's activated, choose all your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier and place them in their owner's energy in rest mode. So on play, board wipe. Basically, your opponent can't play anything 4 or higher anymore for the rest of the game, and that's kind of one of your win conditions. I've even seen builds where you actually just play the straight-up Zamasu engine that lets you play Tragedy Overground earlier in the game. So that's another viable option. And I think that's where like a lot of the flexibility comes in, like I was mentioning before with like the Floodgate cards, like Vegeta Ready to Rumble with Gohan Baby's Minion. I don't think you have to play those cards necessarily. Like the Galactic Buster engine seems a lot more mandatory. But yeah, as far as like those Floodgates go, you could probably trim down on some of them, maybe play some sort of Zamasu engine, maybe play some sort of skillless Gohan engine. That's even another possibility. So it seems like that could be a really interesting way to customize the deck. And it is cool that, you know, this deck can go in a few different ways if that kind of makes sense. But anyways, guys, that's Russell's build as far as I was able to explain it. I think I did a pretty good job. But of course, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. I'll have Russell kind of monitoring this video and answering any questions you guys might have. Again, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.